Hi, welcome to Accounting for Everyone. Today we begin with a simple but important question. Have you ever wondered how investors decide if a company is financially strong? Or how lenders assess its ability to meet obligations? Financial statements are not just numbers. They are powerful decision-making tools used by stakeholders, including investors, lenders, management, and regulators, to make informed economic decisions. And to understand how these decisions are made, we need to look at how financial position is reported. In the previous video, we explored the statement of profit or loss, which shows the financial performance of an entity over a reporting period. If you haven't watched that yet, I highly recommend checking it out first. But now, this brings us to an important question. How do we understand the financial position of an entity at a specific point in time? To answer this, we turn to another key financial statement, the statement of financial position. While the statement of profit or loss shows performance over a period, the statement of financial position presents the financial position of an entity at a specific date. And that is exactly what we are going to explore in this video. I encourage you to stay with me until the end, as each concept builds step by step, enabling you to develop a clear understanding of how financial position is structured and presented. So now that we understand its purpose, let's see how the financial position of a business is actually presented. Think of the statement of financial position as a snapshot, capturing where the entity stands at a specific point in time. But what exactly does this snapshot show? What are we really looking at when we talk about financial position? Well, it shows what the entity controls, what it owes, and what remains for the owners. To understand this more clearly, every entity can be broken down into three fundamental elements: assets, liabilities, and equity. These three elements together form the foundation of financial position. They help us understand what the business has, what it owes, and what ultimately belongs to the owners. Now, let's look at this. This simple structure explains everything about a business. At first glance, it looks straightforward. But once you understand how to read it, it tells you exactly what the business controls, what it owes, and what belongs to the owners. So let's break it down step by step. First, assets. What makes something an asset? Is it just something the business owns? Not exactly. Assets are resources the business controls and expects to generate value in the future. Let's take a simple example. A business has land and buildings of $50,000, inventory of $20,000, and cash at bank of $10,000. So, total assets are $80,000. These are the resources the business controls to operate and generate income. Next, liabilities. What does the business owe? Liabilities are obligations the business must settle by transferring resources. In the same example, the business has a bank loan of $30,000 and payables of $10,000. So, total liabilities are $40,000. Now think about this. If the business takes a loan, what happens? Resources increase and obligations increase. Finally, equity. What is left for the owners? Assets are $80,000. Liabilities are $40,000. So what remains? Equity is $40,000. This represents the owner's interest in the business, including invested capital and retained profits, and it changes as profits are earned, or amounts are withdrawn or distributed. Now here's the key idea. The resources the business controls are financed from two sources: liabilities and equity. So we can say assets equal liabilities plus equity. All assets are financed by a combination of liabilities and equity. This means the business does not necessarily own all its assets outright. Equity represents the residual interest in the assets after deducting liabilities. So when you look at these numbers, you're not just seeing amounts. You're seeing what the business controls, what it owes, and what belongs to the owners. Now focus on the relationship. The business controls total resources of $80,000. Out of this, $40,000 is financed through liabilities, and the remaining $40,000 is financed by the owners. That remaining portion is equity. So, the entire structure can be expressed clearly. Assets equals liabilities plus equity. 80,000 equals 40,000 plus 40,000. And this relationship must always balance. For a more detailed explanation of these elements of financial statements, you may refer to the previous video. The link is provided in the description. But here's the real question. How is all of this actually presented in a financial statement? That's exactly what we'll see next in the Statement of Financial Position. Now that we understand the relationship between assets, liabilities, and equity, let's see how this is presented in a structured financial statement. The Statement of Financial Position brings all of this together. It presents what the business controls, what it owes, and what belongs to the owners at a specific point in time in a clear and organised format. Let us now understand this structure using a simple example of a company. Consider Orion Manufacturing Limited. Statement of Financial Position as at 31st December, year end. Before we look at the full structure, let's understand the elements using this example. First, assets. Assets are everything the business controls and uses to run its operations. In this example, total assets are $305,000. Assets are divided into non-current and current. Non-current assets are long-term resources used in the business for more than 1 year. Here, property, plant and equipment are shown at $180,000. This represents the carrying amount, which means the value of the asset after deducting accumulated depreciation and any impairment to date. The business also has intangible assets of $20,000, such as software or patents. Although they do not have a physical form, they still provide value, and this figure represents their carrying amount after amortization to date. In addition, there are non-current investments of $15,000, representing investments in shares of other companies held for the long term, such as investments in subsidiaries, associates, or other equity investments. So, total non-current assets are $215,000. Next, current assets. Current assets are short-term resources, expected to be realised, sold, or consumed within the normal operating cycle, usually within 1 year. They are typically presented in order of liquidity, meaning how quickly they can be converted into cash. Inventory of $35,000 represents goods held for sale in the ordinary course of business, including raw materials, work in progress, and finished goods. Trade receivables of $30,000 represent amounts owed by customers for goods sold on credit. Prepaid insurance of $3,000 represents expenses paid in advance for services to be received in the future. Cash and cash equivalents of $22,000 include cash at bank and short-term deposits that can be easily converted into cash with insignificant risk of change in value. So total current assets amount to $90,000. When combined with non-current assets, total assets amount to $305,000. Next, liabilities. Liabilities represent present obligations of the business. That is, amounts the business owes to others. In this example, total liabilities amount to $100,000. These are classified into non-current and current liabilities. Non-current liabilities are long-term obligations that are not due within 1 year. Here, the business has a bank loan of $60,000 and a deferred tax liability of $10,000, which arises due to temporary differences between accounting profit and taxable profit, and will be settled in the future. Current liabilities are short-term obligations, expected to be settled within the normal operating cycle, usually within 1 year. Trade payables of $20,000 represent amounts owed to suppliers for purchases made on credit. And accrued expenses of $10,000 represent expenses that have been incurred but not yet paid. So, total current liabilities amount to $30,000. Finally, equity. Equity represents the residual interest in the assets of the business, after deducting liabilities. In this example, total equity amounts to $205,000. This includes share capital of $120,000, which represents the amount invested by shareholders. Share premium of $15,000 represents amounts received above the nominal value of shares. Retained earnings of $60,000 represent accumulated profits retained in the business. Revaluation surplus of $10,000 represents gains arising from the revaluation of assets. Now, bringing everything together, the business controls total resources of $305,000. Out of this, $100,000 is financed through liabilities, and $205,000 is financed through equity. This represents the foundation of financial position. Assets equals liabilities plus equity. $305,000 equals $100,000 plus $205,000. This equation must always remain in balance, because every resource controlled by the business is financed through liabilities and equity. This is how the Statement of Financial Position presents the financial position of a business in a clear, structured, and meaningful way. While this fundamental relationship remains the same for all businesses, the way it is presented can vary, depending on the form of the entity. Let us now examine how the statement of financial position is presented in a sole trader business. Now here's something important to understand. While the overall structure of the statement of financial position remains consistent for both sole traders and companies, the key distinction lies in the presentation of equity. In a company, equity is presented in several components, including share capital, share premium, retained earnings, and revaluation surplus. In contrast, a sole trader presents equity as capital, representing the owner's residual interest in the business at the reporting date. This distinction can be clearly observed in the following illustration. In the case of a company, equity is presented as a combination of components: share capital of $120,000, share premium of $15,000, retained earnings of $60,000, and revaluation surplus of $10,000, resulting in total equity of $205,000. In contrast, a sole trader determines capital by adjusting the opening balance, starting with opening capital of $30,000, adding profit for the year of $5,000, and deducting drawings of $2,000, results in closing capital of $33,000. This highlights a key distinction. While the structure of the statement of financial position remains the same, the presentation of equity varies depending on the form of the business. In both cases, however, the final figure represents the owner's residual interest in the business at the reporting date. This confirms the fundamental accounting relationship. Assets equals liabilities plus equity. Before we conclude, let's briefly recap the key points. The statement of financial position presents the financial position of a business at a specific point in time. It includes three key elements: assets, which are resources controlled by the business; liabilities, which are obligations owed to others; and equity, which represents the owner's residual interest. The statement remains in balance because every resource of the business is financed through a combination of liabilities and equity. A sound understanding of the elements and structure of the statement of financial position is fundamental to the accurate preparation and presentation of financial statements, and underpins effective financial analysis and informed economic decision-making. In the next video, we will explore the accounting equation in more detail and examine how it underpins financial reporting and the accounting system. If you found this session helpful, feel free to share it with others who may benefit. This is a small effort to share knowledge, and your support truly motivates us to continue creating meaningful learning content. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.